Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be showing you the Lamborghini Gallardo in Asphalt 9 at max in multiplayer. Now, I did make a video about this car a while back at max, but just recently there was an exclusive car hunt for this car for owners of the Legend Pass, so I figured it would be a good time to make another video about it. These races were given to me by Sacro Light, as of course I do not own the Legend Pass, and therefore I cannot get this car because the exclusive car hunts are not made available for people that are free to play. So I thank him for these clips. This is probably one of the better Legend Pass cars though to get, because it is actually a king of its class. On some tracks, not most, I'm pretty sure the Aranera is still like the top king, but the Gallardo being number 2 and king on some of them makes it a very good contender for its class, and beyond that, it's just a really well-rounded car overall. All of its stats are quite good. Obviously, it doesn't go as fast as cars like the Aranera, but it's still very fast for Class C, and with great handling to go along with that, it makes it probably one of the best, if not the very best, Class C cars for multiplayer. But in this video, Sacro Light is testing the Gallardo in Gold League in most of the races, and we're finishing off with a race in Platinum League. And in this first race, Sacro Light is facing a 911 GT3 RS, a Corvette Grand Sport, an Aston Martin GT12, and an Apex AP0, all of which are nowhere to be found on the map, and he comes in first place. This next race is also, again, some of the most popular B-Class cars, including the Apex, the 911, the SLR, the Huracan, the Corvette, you name it, they're here. So let's see how this high-end C-Class car does against all of these higher-end B-Class cars. Now, one thing to note is that at max, this car goes around 219 to 220 miles per hour. This is nearly as fast as the Huracan. It's faster than cars like, say, the GT12, or even the 911 GT3 RS, which goes a very similar speed of around 319, but it's definitely faster than, say, the Corvette, for example, so even being a C-Class car and not the fastest C-Class car, it's still faster than quite a few of the common mid to high-level B-Class ones. So that gives it not really an advantage, but it puts it on more of an equal playing field than you might expect. And as you can see, Sacro is able to pull away from almost everyone in this race except for this Apex up front, which is definitely a very formidable car in multiplayer. I have a video up about it on my channel if you would like to check that out, both at max and at 3 stars, which is where a lot of people got it in the DS3. And speaking of pay-to-win events, remember earlier in the update I said that 4 out of the 5 new cars added in the update so far had been, well, pay-to-win, so you had to pay money in order to get them. That statistic has gotten a little bit better after the Onyx and now the Huracan Trofeo Super Evo, long car name, has come out, because both of those are relatively free to play, and so we're left with a 4 out of 7 cars in this update being required to spend real money on in order to get. That's over half. Yeah, that hasn't happened in any update before, and I'm really hoping it doesn't happen again, but I don't really have my hopes up for that. That being said, Gameloft has taken into consideration a lot of the things that we've said about multiplayer recently, so maybe, just maybe, they'll take into consideration the things that we have said about the Drive Syndicate event and other recent events in the game, because I really think that Gameloft would definitely benefit more with a happy population of players than a frustrated one, which is unfortunately what a lot of it seems to be right now. So in this race, Sacro was again up against cars like the 911, the Corvette, and the Apex, but this time he was able to get quite far ahead of them. And you can just see that this car really is easy to drive. It gets around the corners very nicely. It doesn't have too wide of a drifting radius. It keeps a decent speed. Its acceleration is a little bit mediocre, like 76 isn't great. It's kind of comparable to, say, the Corvette, for example, or the Sin R1, or other not so fast accelerating B-Class cars, but it's still decent. And one thing that you'll notice in some races is that there will be a Lancer or a Z4 or something else. Of course, we see this occasionally, but it's been happening more recently, and I kind of want to explain it because usually they just kind of leave at the beginning of the races. And you might think, well, what's the point of going in with a really low car like that and then just leaving? Well, the point is to drop rating to get into a lower league. I mean, I've done this myself. I've seen it most often in really high leagues such as Legend League, people trying to get back down into Platinum so they can gain more of the series score more easily because more people are playing there. Now, in Gold League here, I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe someone wants to get back down to Silver League. I must admit, I've actually done this for some previous videos. I was testing the Aranera Hacera, which I might make a video out of, I'm not sure. It was one of the cars in the Drive Syndicate event, so I recorded some races in it. But anyway, I was just having such awful luck with that car in Gold League that I would drop back to Silver League and then record more races in it. Because the thing is, Silver League doesn't last very long. It's like 150 to 200 rating, maybe, something like that. And so you don't really get a lot of races in Silver League if you're coming in one of the top positions. So there are definitely various reasons that people do this, enter with some really low car and then leave, but mainly it's to drop rating and the low cars just so that they don't have to use a card that they might use somewhere else. Oh, and before I forget to mention it, something else that Gameloft has mentioned recently is about the max free try seasons that we've gotten. Well, in the past few of them, they have not been unlimited fuel. They used to be, but they're not anymore, and the reason for that, they said, was because there were more people botting the seasons, so basically just kind of letting the car run, basically, without them really being there or controlling it a lot, because that was one way that they could farm the milestone points, I'm assuming, or maybe even farm rating in some way. They could do that because you could play the car over and over, so they removed that, so maybe there will be less of those in multiplayer. I personally didn't see any. I'm assuming they are more popular on platforms like Android, but I don't play there on a regular basis, so I wouldn't really have any idea about that. I have played a few races here and there on there, but I'm such a low level that I might as well just not play it at all. So Sacro Light comes in first in this race again, and let's see what cars he was up against this time. So we've got 3 Corvettes, we've got a Huracan, all of these high-end B-class cars that he just got way away from. And now it's time for the final race, which is in Platinum League. Now, even being in Platinum League, there was an Apex and like 3 Huracans in this race. Pretty much no A-class cars, which is something that I have noticed. A lot of people, even in Platinum League, stick with the B-class cars, just because I'm sure some people have better B-class cars than they have A-class cars, because a lot of the higher-end B-class cars are less expensive and easier to get than some of the higher-end A-class ones, I think. Especially the Huracan and the Apex at this point, having come out in a car hunt as well as in the DS3 event. So now it's time for my general review about this car. It's one of the C-Class Kings on some tracks, not the majority, but on some of the ones that are twistier and shorter probably, it's definitely going to take the cake there. It's a very reliable multiplayer car. I would say probably the best C-Class car for multiplayer at this point. I would definitely recommend this car to anybody with a Legend Pass, but if you don't have a Legend Pass, a car such as the 599XX Evo will likely perform very similarly and isn't pay to win such as this one. Sacro narrowly loses to 1 Huracan, but beats 3 higher ranked ones. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Sacro Light for these races. Please like the video if you have enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.